Hi there. Things are pretty stressful these days, so I figured that I'd share a little bit of yoga to help us all practice and ground down a little more. I really love practicing with music, but of course, there are a whole lot of rights involved with that. So I'm listening to Soul Rising Radio on Spotify very quietly in the background. I'll post it in the comments, so if you want to turn on a few jams and flow along, maybe that'll help you. But if there's music you prefer, you can go ahead and listen to whatever you like. Of course, with yoga or any practice at all that's physical, listen to your body first and foremost. That's the most important thing to take care of and to keep in mind if you're not really used to moving a lot, or if maybe you've been sitting around a lot, a whole lot more these days. I know I have been, so let's move a bit, stretch a bit, breathe a bit, and try and ground down. Take a moment to ground down. Okay if you don't have really bendy knees. You could certainly sit on a block or a bolster or something underneath you if it feels better to have your hips up a bit higher. You can rest your hands on your knees, your laps, your palms, tucked together, whatever feels good for you. And just close your eyes for a few moments. Let yourself come to your breath. Inhale. Let yourself fill up. Bring air into your lungs. Hold it for a moment. There's a whole lot happening right now, and of course, it all catches up with us. The purpose of yoga isn't to stop your mind and to stop all of the crazy stuff that happens in the world, but rather to help us find our center and stay pretty grounded, even in the middle of all of that. So if something feels a little bit like too much for you, remember that here and out there, you can always just come back to your breath. Let's start to bring a little bit of movement into this practice. Take an inhale, reach your arms up overhead. You can bring your palms to touch or interlace your fingers and turn your fingertips up towards the ceiling with your palms stretching up and overhead. Take a side bend to one side and gaze up. Try and notice, though, as you bend, if you're hunching your shoulders up. Soften them and broaden your shoulders down your back so that you're not creating any more tension. Nice. And go ahead and drop your bottom hand down to the floor and then turn your palm so that the palm of your top hand faces the floor as well. Yeah, you can really start to stretch in here. And if your opposite hip starts to lift, try to drop it back down. Maybe you just bring your knee down a bit more. If we sit a whole lot, things get tight in our sides. Take a few breaths. Just let yourself feel it. And if you find it feels good to walk your hand out further or maybe even bend your elbow and come on down to the floor, that can feel pretty good here. Take a few slow head, clasp your fingers together again. Turn your palms up, drop your shoulders down, find a little stretch. Nice. And then when you're ready, start to lean off in the opposite direction. You can keep your bind here the whole time if you like. Remember, as your opposite knee starts to rise up, if you bring it back down, you're going to find more length all the way down your side body on the other side. Then go ahead and drop your opposite hand down, the one that's closer to the floor. You can stretch up and overhead. Keep on breathing. Keep on not bending. It's quite logical, I suppose. But the really interesting part about yoga is that we discover usually changes with each breath, because everything's changing in every breath. Might be really tiny changes, might be big ones, but that's really what yoga is all about. Noticing that shift, staying present to it. Inhale and rise up again. Nice. Let's take some twists this time. Exhale, twist back in the opposite direction. Bring one hand behind yourself, your other hand to your opposite knee. You can turn and gaze back over your shoulder. Rise up through the crown of your head to find some length through your spine. And breathe. Inhale to come back up overhead. Exhale, twist the other way. If it feels good here, just close your eyes. Find length. Lift up through your spine as you twist and breathe through what feels good for you. Nice. Inhale, come back through center, reach your arms up. Then we're going to fold forward and down. There's a whole bunch of ways you can do it. You can bring your hands through center and walk them out in front of you. If it feels better, you can reach your hands up, reach forward. Feels hang heavy. Notice where you're holding tension. Maybe there's a whole lot in your hips, a whole lot in your neck. Maybe it feels like there's tension everywhere. That's okay. The cool thing about no deep, slow breaths, just notice what can soften a tiny bit more. And if one thing can soften, notice what's connected to that. And where else you can let things find just a tiny bit more ease. Inhale as you're ready. Rise on up, crawl your fingertips back towards you. Nice. Let's move a little bit more. Come onto your hands and knees, facing the side. Take a little cat-cow here. For cow, you drop your belly. Inhale, lift your chin up towards the ceiling. Exhale for cat, round through your spine. Try and push the floor away from you as you tuck your chin in. Inhale, drop your belly, gaze up. Exhale, round and tuck. And start to move through this at a pace that works for you. Maybe it feels awesome to be in one place rather than another. As you move, try and notice if your hands are underneath your shoulders. Maybe you need to adjust them a little bit so that everything's lined up a bit more. And it's often a really good idea to keep your elbows bent, whether you're on your hands and knees or in a plank. The cool thing about keeping your elbows bent is that it makes your muscles work rather than your joints. So stacking your joints, having everything in one line, gives you a lot of structural integrity. And having your elbows bent helps your muscles turn on so that they're doing more work for you than dumping weight into your bones. Nice. Let's add a bit more here. If you want to take a twist from side to side, bring your same side ear towards your same side hip. You can even take a little cat-cow push-up. I got a nice adjustment there in my spine. It felt good. Awesome. Let's add a twist. Inhale and reach an arm up. And then exhale, bring it underneath your body, down on your shoulder, and stretch away. This is a pretty grounded practice. I had a pretty busy day. There's certainly times that it feels better to move a little more. You can do yoga like that too. Inhale, open up and rise. Inhale, open, lift up, gaze up. And I have a tendency to be super ultra bendy, hyper flexible. I need to be mindful that it's okay to stretch out to the maximum of your limits. But just be mindful of noticing if that feels good. If a little shift could feel good too. Exhale, sweep down, bring your arm down. Take a moment to breathe for things to soften. Nice. When you're ready, put your weight back into the palm that's supporting you. Reach your arm up. Exhale, bring it down. Let's bring a bit more stretch into this. Now, step your back foot out. Reach the same hand up and overhead. And then try lifting up through your hip to find some stretch all the way down the side of your body. Nice. Breathe deep and slow here. As the side of your body that's stretching to the ceiling lifts up, try engaging the muscles on the side of your body that's supporting you. See how that feels? And if you want to get a little more playful, you can lift your foot for a big stretch. That might feel good. That might feel like it's crazy. So you do what's right for you. Just keep breathing. You can always rewind, go back. If something felt really good, go for it on the other side. I'm going to flip around to take the other side here so that I'm not turning away from you. All right. So step your top foot back. Your back foot behind you is a kickstand. You can either bend your toes and then use that as a kickstand. I like putting my foot behind me. It feels better for my knee. And then reach up, stretch up, find length. Remember to lift up as you pull in and find some support on the bottom. Nice. Keep breathing, keep shifting and adjusting what needs it. And then when you find a place that feels good, try and take a few breaths there. Just slow it down. Nice. If you want to lift your leg, you can do that. Remember, if you flex your foot, that might help turn on more of your muscles. If it feels better to point your toes, go ahead and do that. I find that my lower back gets really sore if I sit too long. And one of the things that help it is turning your core on, using it, because that creates strength that supports your low back. Bend your knee if you want to get crazy, take a bind, engage your glutes, and then kick away. If you can't catch your toes like this, don't worry about it. It's really not that critical. All fours. Let's take a down dog. From all fours, tuck your toes behind you, lift your hips up towards the ceiling. You can pedal your feet. You can keep your knees super bent if that feels best for you. You can bend if you had a tail, because that would be awesome. You can try lifting it up more towards the ceiling. And try tucking your chin and taking a few breaths here. Now, whether you choose to do it with bending your knees or keeping your feet straight, try and send a little more energy down through your heels to help you ground down. If things feel super tight, that's totally normal. Our hamstrings, definitely my hamstrings, tend to be the tightest parts of our bodies, especially when we sit a lot, which a lot of us are doing more of now than ever. So just be patient and breathe. Notice that where things start out are not often where they end up. That's that awesome change happening again. And sometimes we love change, which will happen again soon. Nice. All right, let's move on. Take an inhale. Reach one leg up. Doesn't matter which one. You just pick it up. You can stretch it high. You can keep it low. Nice. You can lift and lower your foot a few times. Notice what feels good. I like tapping my toe down. That feels nice. Sometimes it feels good to draw my knee forward towards my elbow. Gets a bit crazy. A little side crunching. It's kind of nice too. And then as you're ready, bring your foot forward in between your hands so that you're in a nice low lunge. You can lower your back knee down. If it feels good to have your toes tucked, if that feels good in your knee, do it. And if this feels like a little bit too much pressure for your knee, a great tool is just a towel. Whatever you have lying around, stick it under your knees so you've got a little extra cushion. If it feels good to keep your hands on your knee, you can do that. Try taking a gaze down to make sure that your ankle is under your knees so that you, again, have that nice joint stacking. This might be getting pretty tense and tight on the back side of your hip flexor, on your back leg, the one that's down. And if so, you can bring your hands down to either side of your foot. That might feel good too. When we sit a lot, this muscle called the psoas that connects our low back and our torso, on our legs, gets really tight. And this is a stretch where we often feel that as it starts to lengthen out. And if it feels better for you, you can reach your arms up overhead, gaze up, crescent moon, Anjaneyasana. And notice what feels best for your body and make your decisions on where you put your hands and where you're moving based on that. This might be plenty for now, so bring your hands down, pull your hips back towards your heel. Try stretching your front leg out towards straight. It's okay if it's still bent a whole lot. Don't worry about it. If you're finding tightness in those hamstrings again, most of the things we want to change take a whole lot of time to do so. Most of the things that we'd rather not have in our life are the ones that happen really fast. Those cataclysmic moments. So if you're trying to create positive change in your life, try and remember to be patient. It's pretty hard stuff sometimes to do it. But things like changing tight muscles, mending relationships, creating new ones, making new habits, they take a whole lot of time. But with practice and patience, a whole lot shifts. Good for you. You can sit down on your back foot. And if it feels like you'll never sit down on your back foot ever, keep practicing. See what happens. Awesome. Go ahead and crawl yourself forward. Tuck your back toes down. Lift your back knee up. Now keep the opposite hand of your foot that's forward down on the floor, and then reach the hand on your side with your front foot forward. It's way easier when you can say right and left, but it all gets really mysterious in video. Just stretch on up. Try pushing more energy down your back heel. You can certainly drop your back knee down as well, if that feels better. Breathe deep and slow. Remember your breath. Remember to notice what you feel. Sometimes we get physical sensations. Sometimes they're quite different and very emotional. Drop your back knee down if you haven't yet, and then try reaching back. Maybe you just get a big stretch here. Maybe you point your toes, grab tension in our muscles. It's not so surprising then that tension gathers. So you don't have to get all the way there in your first try. Just try and make a little progress. Be super stoked about all the good that you're doing and that you're feeling. Release your bind, place both hands down. Bring your hands back, downward facing dog. I think I need a little vinyasa action. So you can do this from your hands and knees, or from your down dog, bring yourself into the top of a push-up. Remember your alignment. Bring your hands under your shoulders, pull your belly in, energy out through the backs of your heels, feet about hip-width distance apart. Now look down towards the floor, spine in one long line. Remember, knees down, totally an option. And then exhale, pull your elbows in, slowly lower. Bring yourself down to the floor, untuck your toes, lift up with your hands down. Gaze on up towards the ceiling. With your hips down, this one's Cobra pose. You can lift and lower a few times if it feels good for you. You can move through your shoulders. Another option is Sphynx, supported Cobra. In this one, you can get a really great stretch by having your elbows down and then bringing your energy up from your arms. So a lot of the times we dump our energy in and then kind of put our weight through our bone structure. But in yoga, we work to become mindful so we can engage and find connection, even in things that look deceptively simple and easy. You can tuck your chin forward. Exhale, come on down. Inhale, hands and knees, or the top of a push-up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's do a few more of those. Inhale, top of a push-up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. And if it feels good for you, you can tuck Put your weight into the tops of your feet, the shoelaces part of your foot. Engage your legs. Your legs will float off the floor. If that feels terrible, don't do it. If you'd like to, you can have your knees down, tuck your toes, or knees up. I'm going to go back and flip, roll through downward facing dog. Breathe here. Inhale, top of a push-up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, downward facing dog. You can sway things out side to side in your down dog. There's no rules that say you have to stay static. Explore your own body, what feels good for you. It's really hard to find space and time to do that. We're all overscheduled, maybe not now as much, but still, my days are pretty busy, even most of the time. So take a moment to be playful and have a little fun. Let's add another round or two. If you want to move more at your own pace, go for it. Top of a push-up or hands and knees. Exhale to lower down. Inhale, pull side. Just getting our bodies moving creates so much change. Physical, scientific change. Blood flows, energy moves around. Starts to get our endorphins flowing, all those feel-good chemicals. Nice. One more. Exhale down. Inhale up. You can come down again. Exhale. Inhale. Downward facing dog. There are all kinds of ways to get into an upside down V shape. So you can work through the one that feels best for you. Now let's take that on the other side. Those lunges we were inhale, stretch your other leg up, whichever one you didn't do the first time. Bring your back knee down. Line things up. Try and get your front ankle more or less under your knee. And then find a place to breathe through. Maybe it feels good to breathe with your hands on your knee. Maybe it feels good to have your arms up. Maybe you need a moment or two pulling forward, and maybe you need your entire moment spent breathing there. It's not so much a question of your ability, but rather what you need. So if we get caught in thinking that this is the only way we should ever do Anjaneyasana, crescent moon pose, when we need our hands here, because that feels better for our bodies, we miss out. Keep breathing. Remember, you can come back and stretch out anytime that you like. Pull your hips back. I'm going to keep going forward for a minute. Find your breath. When you start to get a little hotter, keep on breathing through them. That's where your yoga powers are found. Bring your hand down, front leg towards straight. You can try and sit back heel, or stay as high as you like. Again, the name of the game is just finding the space where you need to be, where you need to breathe. Maybe that means you're in a full splits here rather than a half one. There's different flavors for a reason. And just because you needed one day doesn't mean that's going to be the flavor you need for the next. So try and keep an open mind. Be an explorer. And keep on breathing. Close your eyes. Let yourself just feel each inhale, each exhale. Slowing down a little bit. Noticing those little shifts. Revolved side angle pose. If it feels better to drop your knee, go ahead and do it. Bend your bottom elbow. Remember, that'll help you engage more of your muscles rather than working through your joints and your skeleton, your beautiful bones. Nice. Drop your back knee. Reach your hand back. Maybe you open up through your shoulders. Maybe you catch your toes. Try closing your eyes and soften into what you feel. So often we resist things. It usually just gets us in more trouble. That's the way it works for me. So when things just don't feel right, you feel aggression and resistance, it's often a good sign that maybe we can make another choice. But again, we have to become mindful to see that choice is possible rather than just floating through life without noticing. All these yoga practices are tools to help us grow a little bit more, being a little more connected to what's really happening. Doesn't mean it's always easy, but at least we get to notice and to make a choice. Release your foot. I'm going to move to sleeping swan now. If this doesn't feel good on your knee, I'm going to flip over in a second. Stay patient. You can wiggle walk your knee out to the side of your foot and then lower down. This might feel like a whole lot, or maybe not, depending on you and your body. If this doesn't feel good for your knee, you can flip onto your back, make a shape. What you do is lie on down, cross your ankle over the top of your opposite knee, clasp your shin, and breathe there. Make sure that your shoulders are down. We don't want to be hunching up here. Find that relaxation. You can pull your knee in if you're on your back. Wherever you are, close your eyes, let yourself breathe through it. You definitely don't have to have your cheeks on the floor. I've done a little bit of yoga. My cheek wasn't always on the floor either. Then once you find a place where you can sort of breathe through the sensations that are rising up, you definitely don't want to still. Maybe it helps to count your breath. Exhale, release. And remember that practice of noticing. Noticing what's tight. Maybe it's physical. Maybe it's mental. Maybe it's emotional. Wherever you find tightness, just use your breath to help it find a bit more softness, a little more space. And sometimes the greatest change is just finding a little more acceptance of things just as they are, because we know they're going to change too. You can keep your leg bent the same one, just doing a different hamstring stretch. I'm going to flip around so you can see better. Bring the sole of your bent leg, foot, into the inside of your thigh. Flex your foot, reach up, inhale, exhale, fold forward and down. And again, if you're here, that's awesome. If you're here, that's awesome. Wherever you are, though, try to tuck your chin and hang forward. And instead of gripping and pulling and being aggressive, soften, bend your elbows. It's through release and letting go. The fascia, the connective tissues in our bodies, relax a little more. They're different. So with every exhale, try and find a little more softness. And if you need to move a bit to find a stretch where you need it in your body, that's okay. Nice. Inhale and rise up. Now that I'm all flipped around, I'm actually in a really good spot to do sleeping swan on the other side. So you can do it facing the same way, or come to your hands, crawl your way around. We got it in a little different time because we were in a lunge. So let's do that. Step your opposite foot into a low lunge. Slide your front knee back, and then start to wiggle, walk your foot all the way off to the side. Drop your knee down, stretch your knee back. You can find a moment to lift. My hips are tight, don't worry. You're not alone. And then start to bring it on down. You can stay up pretty high. You've got, sure, whatever you've got in your home. You can place your hands or your head on them. And remember, you can go onto your back and cross your ankle over the top of your knee for a figure 4 stretch instead if this doesn't feel good on your knee. It's always a good idea to listen to those sharp sensations. There's no need to push through that. It's normal to feel a lot of muscle tightness here. And if you're not quite sure what's muscle tightness and what's sharp shooting, let yourself come to your breath. Try and just maybe it's something you're worried about. It's okay. You're allowed to have all of those feelings. They will change. Use your breath to give yourself just a little space to breathe through them, breathe around them. Inhale slowly. Start to rise. You can call your fingers back. You can sweep your back leg forward for a stretch here. But again, you can't see me that way. So I'm going to flip around the other way again. Bring the sole of your bent leg foot to the inside of your thigh. Reach your arms up. Exhale, bring it down. Now remember, we don't want our shoulders up around our ears. Breathe through. Inhale, come on back up. Let's try butterfly pose. For this one, you bring the soles of your feet to touch and scoot your hips back so that you're sitting on your sit bones. It's the bony part of your lovely behind. Inhale and lift up. Exhale, come on down. If your elbows are close to your legs, you can use them to push down a little bit more if that feels good. Maybe you're up here and don't feel like you'll ever bend forward, and that's totally okay. Breathe through that. Wherever you are, tuck your chin. And if your fingers are close to your feet, you can give yourself a little massage here. It's one of the benefits of being a flexible yogi, especially in the time of social distancing. You can still rub your own feet. See if you can find 3 more deep, slow breaths. And inhale to rise back up. Nice. Let's take a wide-legged forward fold here. This is another one of those poses where you might be here and think you'll never bend forward, and that's totally okay. If this feels like a lot, it is. Breathe through it just as you are. Another trick in this one is to sit something under your hips. It tilts your whole pelvis forward so you can get a bit more forward bend. And then if you'd like, you can walk your hands forward a bit, then try and find some length through your spine. Find some lift. And then you can keep walking forward. I'm one of those terrible bendy people. So I do need to get down pretty low. I've done a lot of these, and I never thought I would be in this place where I can stretch all the way forward, but that's how my body ended up. So breathe through what you need. And by doing so, we all create more space for each other to feel and to grow and to acknowledge that we're all different and that we're all okay, just as we are. Wherever you are, come to your breath. Try and soften. Try and just feel. Inhale, start to rise up again. Walk your hands back towards your body. You can bend your knees. And then we're going to lie all the way down. But we have a back bend to do before we really take some supine twists and ground down. For this one, bridge pose, Setu Bandhasana. Go ahead and bring your heels super close to your body. Maybe you can even touch them with your fingertips. Inhale, lift your hips up. Try and push energy down your legs. Maybe one is more than enough, and that's totally okay. Keep on breathing deep and slow. Try pushing a little more weight into your heels. There's all kinds of dynamic interplay here. Pushing down into your heels, lifting up, pushing your knees forward. Even though yoga looks pretty stationary, there's a lot of energy and action happening. A lot to breathe through. Exhale as you're ready. Come on down. Hug your knees into your chest. Nicely done. And go ahead and let both of your knees fall in one direction. You can cactus your arms out and turn your chin away from your knees for a twist. Inhale and come back through the middle. Inhale, come back in through the middle. Inhale and come back through the middle. Let's do the other side. Stretch it out. Exhale, take a twist. Inhale and come through center. Now bring both of your knees in. Try and reach across your shins for the outsides of your feet. Pull your knees down. This one's happy baby. You can wiggle side to side. You can stretch both legs straight. Nice. And if you need any more of anything that we did, you can certainly go back and do it. This is the space where if you'd like to take a rest, lying down, you can do that. Ground down. Or if you'd like to take a few moments in seated meditation, you can do that instead. You get to choose. I'll chill with you for another few minutes. And I feel like meditation is what I need a little bit more of right now. So, whatever you choose, Shavasana, or closing your eyes, breathing in a seat, just find a space within yourself just to be. There's a lot going on out there right now. And whether you're lying down or in a seat, keep your eyes closed for a moment. Your chest and your belly to make a connection with places of wisdom and intuition, our hearts, our gut feelings, whatever feels right to you. Let yourself just be in this space all your own, but still very much connected, always. In yoga, it's common for teachers to suggest making an intention at the start of practice, but here in this space, I invite you to make an intention for others. It's by sharing, even when we're distancing, sharing kindness, thoughts of kindness, good intentions, well wishes, metta, loving kindness. We can still help one another. So go ahead and offer some loving kindness to someone you care for, someone you love. Offer some loving kindness to someone you find challenging, someone that maybe is a little difficult to get along with. And then go ahead and offer some metta, some loving kindness to someone you don't even know, someone who needs it now. And then offer your loving kindness to yourself. Thank you so much for practicing, and all is good. Namaste. Hopefully we can catch each other again soon. Thank you.